Most men believe the secret to talking to women is finding the perfect opening line. They spend hours searching for clever phrases, memorizing scripted conversations, or worrying about making a flawless first impression. But the truth is far simpler and far more powerful. The first few seconds of a conversation are not decided by the words you choose. They are decided by the emotional state you bring into the conversation. Before a woman fully processes what you say, she notices whether you seem relaxed or anxious, genuine or rehearsed, respectful or desperate. This is why the first rule of learning how to talk to women is to stop trying to impress and start communicating naturally. The goal is not to perform. The goal is to create a comfortable conversation where both people feel at ease. One of the biggest mistakes men make is approaching a conversation as if it is an interview they must pass. The moment they see a woman they want to talk to, they begin putting pressure on themselves. They think, I have to say something amazing or I can't make any mistakes. That pressure changes everything. Instead of paying attention to the person in front of them, they become trapped inside their own thoughts. They start overthinking every sentence before they speak. They become afraid of silence. They rush their words or speak too much because they believe constant talking makes them appear more interesting. In reality, this nervous energy often makes the conversation feel forced. Women usually respond more positively to someone who appears calm and present than to someone who is trying too hard to create a perfect moment. The best way to begin a conversation is with honesty and simplicity. You do not need a complicated strategy or a rehearsed script. A polite greeting, a natural observation about the environment, or a genuine question related to the situation is often enough to start talking. If you are at a bookstore, asking about a book is more authentic than using a memorized pickup line. If you meet someone at an event, commenting on the event creates a natural opening. Real conversations grow from shared moments, not from artificial performances. Women can often sense when someone is speaking from genuine curiosity versus trying to impress with rehearsed lines. Authenticity creates comfort, while acting creates distance. Another important part of learning how to talk to women is understanding that confidence is not loudness. Some men believe they must dominate the conversation, speak constantly, or show off their achievements to appear attractive. But confidence rarely needs to announce itself. A calm tone of voice, steady eye contact, and relaxed body language often communicate more confidence than endless talking. Speaking slowly instead of rushing your words shows that you are comfortable with yourself. There is no need to fill every second with conversation. A brief pause is not a failure. In fact, being comfortable with small moments of silence often makes the interaction feel more natural because it removes the pressure to perform. Listening is just as important as speaking. Many men focus so much on what they will say next that they stop listening to what the other person is actually saying. They ask a question only because they are waiting for their turn to talk again. Meaningful conversations do not work this way. When you genuinely listen, your next question becomes natural because it grows from the other person's answer. Instead of preparing your next sentence while she is speaking, pay attention to her words, her tone, and what she seems interested in discussing. People enjoy conversations when they feel heard, and women are no different. Genuine curiosity creates stronger connections than trying to sound impressive. Body language also shapes the conversation before many words are exchanged. Standing with relaxed posture, maintaining respectful eye contact, and smiling naturally create a sense of ease. Nervous habits like constantly checking your phone, crossing your arms tightly, avoiding eye contact, or looking around the room can unintentionally communicate discomfort or disinterest. Good body language is not about pretending to be confident. It is about allowing your posture to reflect the calmness you are trying to develop inside. The more relaxed your body becomes, the more naturally your conversation begins to flow. Many men also make the mistake of trying to impress by talking only about themselves. They describe their success, their achievements, or their experiences without creating space for the other person to participate. A good conversation feels balanced. Share your thoughts honestly, but also invite hers. Ask open-ended questions that encourage real discussion instead of questions that can only be answered with yes or no. For example, asking, What do you enjoy doing outside of work? Usually creates a richer conversation than asking, do you like your job? Thoughtful questions show interest without making the conversation feel like an interrogation. Another important lesson is to stop fearing rejection so much that it changes the way you communicate. Not every conversation will lead to friendship, attraction, or a deeper connection, and that is completely normal. Chemistry cannot be forced. If a conversation ends politely without further interest, it does not mean you failed. It simply means the connection was not there. The purpose of talking to women is not to convince every person to like you. It is to communicate honestly, respectfully, and confidently while allowing genuine compatibility to reveal itself naturally. Above all, remember that every woman is an individual with her own experiences, interests, and personality. There is no universal script that works with everyone, and there should not be. The strongest conversations come from respect, authenticity, and curiosity rather than techniques designed to manipulate emotions. When you stop treating conversations like performances and start treating them as opportunities to know another person, you become more relaxed, more confident, and far more enjoyable to talk to. And once you stop trying to impress and begin learning how to truly listen, you will discover that the best conversations are built not by speaking more, but by creating a space where both people genuinely want to keep talking. The moment you stop trying to impress a woman, you become capable of doing something far more important. You begin listening. Most men believe talking is the key to a great conversation. They think the person who speaks the most is the one who leaves the strongest impression. That belief leads them into one of the biggest mistakes they can make. They begin talking endlessly about themselves, telling story after story, trying to sound interesting, funny, successful, or unique. But while they are focused on what they want to say next, they completely miss the person standing in front of them. Learning how to talk to women is not about becoming a better speaker alone. It is about becoming a better listener. A meaningful conversation begins when a woman feels that she is being genuinely heard, not simply waiting for her turn while you perform. One of the easiest ways to make a conversation feel natural is to replace the desire to impress with genuine curiosity. Instead of thinking, how can I make her like me? Ask yourself, who is this person? That small change completely transforms the conversation. You stop searching for perfect responses and start paying attention to what she is actually saying. Every answer she gives becomes an opportunity to ask another thoughtful question instead of changing the subject back to yourself. People naturally enjoy conversations with those who show sincere interest in them, and women are no different. Curiosity creates comfort because it tells the other person that you value them as an individual rather than as someone you are trying to impress. Many men ask questions, but they ask them mechanically. They move from one topic to another without listening carefully to the answers. For example, they ask what she does for work, hear the response, and immediately jump to another question without exploring what she shared. Real conversations do not feel like interviews. If she mentions that she enjoys photography, traveling, reading, or learning a new skill, that is an invitation to continue naturally. Ask what inspired that interest. Ask what she enjoys most about it. Ask about an experience connected to it. When your questions grow naturally from her answers, the conversation feels relaxed instead of forced. Listening also means paying attention to emotions, not just words. Sometimes a person speaks enthusiastically about one subject and briefly answers another. That difference matters. If she lights up while talking about a recent trip or a personal goal, allow the conversation to stay there instead of immediately changing direction. People feel more connected when someone notices what genuinely excites them. The purpose is not to memorize questions, but to notice where the conversation naturally wants to go. Another common mistake is interrupting. Many men become excited when they hear something they can relate to, so they immediately begin sharing their own experience before she has finished speaking. While the intention may be good, constant interruption makes the conversation feel one-sided. Patience is one of the strongest communication skills. Let her complete her thoughts. Give a brief pause before responding. That small moment communicates respect and confidence because it shows you are listening to understand rather than listening only to reply. Learning how to talk to women also means becoming comfortable with silence. Many people become nervous when there is a short pause in the conversation. They immediately begin talking about anything just to fill the empty space. But silence is not always awkward. Sometimes it gives both people a chance to think, smile, or naturally move toward the next topic. Confident communicators do not panic because of a few quiet seconds. They remain relaxed, maintain comfortable eye contact, and allow the conversation to continue at its own pace. Often, those brief pauses make the interaction feel more genuine instead of rushed. Your responses should also show that you are actually listening. Instead of giving short replies like, "That's nice" or "cool," respond to something specific she mentioned. If she tells you she enjoys hiking because it helps her disconnect from daily stress, you might ask what her favorite place has been or what she enjoys most about being outdoors. These responses demonstrate attention and encourage deeper conversation. They also prevent the discussion from becoming repetitive or superficial. It is equally important to avoid turning every topic back toward yourself. Sharing your own experiences is part of a balanced conversation, but there should be a natural rhythm. If she talks about learning a new language, you can briefly mention your own interest or experience before inviting her back into the conversation. The goal is to create an exchange, not a competition over who has the better story. Women often appreciate conversations where they feel included rather than overshadowed. Body language plays an important role while listening. Face the person you are speaking with, maintain respectful eye contact, nod naturally when appropriate, and avoid distractions, such as constantly checking your phone or scanning the room. These simple actions communicate that you are fully present. Being present is one of the most attractive qualities in any conversation because it makes the other person feel valued. Genuine attention is becoming increasingly rare, and people notice when someone offers it sincerely. Remember that every woman has her own personality, interests, and communication style. Some enjoy long conversations immediately, while others take more time to open up. Do not rush the process or assume that every interaction should unfold in exactly the same way. Good communication is flexible. It adapts to the individual rather than relying on memorized scripts. The more you listen, the easier it becomes to understand how the conversation should naturally develop. The greatest conversations are not remembered because one person spoke brilliantly. They are remembered because both people felt understood. When a woman feels comfortable expressing herself without being interrupted, judged, or rushed, trust begins to grow naturally. That trust cannot be created through clever lines or rehearsed techniques. It is built through attention, patience, and genuine curiosity. And once you learn to listen with real interest instead of speaking for approval, you will discover that the strongest conversations are not driven by constant words, but by meaningful communication that allows a genuine connection to grow naturally. Once you learn how to listen with genuine curiosity, the next step is learning how to speak with purpose. One of the biggest mistakes men make when talking to women is believing that they must constantly keep the conversation alive. They think every second of silence is a sign that something is going wrong, so they begin talking without direction. They tell unnecessary stories, explain every detail, interrupt natural pauses, and sometimes even contradict themselves because they are speaking faster than they are thinking. But meaningful conversations are not measured by the number of words exchanged. They are measured by the quality of those words. Learning how to talk to women means understanding that thoughtful communication creates a stronger impression than endless talking. Many men fall into the habit of over-explaining themselves. If they mention a hobby, they immediately begin justifying why they enjoy it. If they express an opinion, they spend several minutes trying to convince the other person that their opinion is correct. This often happens because they fear being misunderstood or judged. However, confidence is reflected in the ability to express yourself clearly without feeling the need to defend every thought. When you speak honestly and simply, your communication feels more natural. Women often respond more positively to someone who shares their thoughts calmly than to someone who constantly seeks agreement or approval. Purposeful communication also means choosing topics that encourage genuine interaction instead of trying to impress. Instead of listing your achievements or turning every conversation into a discussion about yourself, focus on subjects that invite both people to participate. Shared experiences, travel, hobbies, books, music, goals, memorable life moments, or interesting observations about the present situation often create more engaging conversations than trying to prove how successful or knowledgeable you are. A conversation should feel like two people exploring ideas together, not one person delivering a presentation. One skill that separates confident communicators from nervous ones is knowing how to ask open-ended questions. Questions that can be answered with only yes or no usually end the conversation quickly. Instead, ask questions that invite stories, opinions, and experiences. For example, instead of asking, "Did you enjoy your trip?" you could ask, "What was the most memorable part of your trip?" Instead of asking, "Do you like your job?" you might ask, "What do you enjoy most about what you do?" These questions naturally encourage longer, more interesting conversations because they invite the other person to share something meaningful rather than giving a short response. At the same time, avoid turning the conversation into an interview. Asking question after question without sharing anything about yourself can make the interaction feel unnatural. A balanced conversation has a rhythm. You ask a thoughtful question, listen carefully, respond to what she shares, and then naturally contribute your own perspective when it fits. This exchange creates comfort because both people are participating equally. Learning how to talk to women is not about asking the most questions. It is about creating a conversation where both people feel involved. Tone of voice is another important part of purposeful communication. Many men speak too quickly because they are nervous, while others lower their voice so much that they become difficult to hear. A calm, clear, and steady tone communicates confidence far more effectively than speaking loudly or trying to sound impressive. Slowing down your speech gives you time to think before responding, and it also allows the other person to absorb what you are saying. Rushing through conversations often creates confusion. While a relaxed pace makes the interaction feel comfortable and natural, humor can also play a valuable role, but only when it develops naturally. Many men believe they must constantly make jokes to keep a woman interested. As a result, they force humor into every topic, even when it does not fit the moment. Genuine humor comes from paying attention to the conversation, noticing shared experiences, or laughing together about something unexpected. It should never become a performance designed to earn approval. A simple smile, light-hearted observation, or shared laugh often creates a stronger connection than trying to be the funniest person in the room. Another important lesson is learning to express your opinions honestly. Some men agree with everything a woman says because they fear disagreement will ruin the conversation. While respect is essential, pretending to share every opinion often feels inauthentic. Healthy conversations include different perspectives, provided they are shared politely and respectfully. If you disagree on a movie, a hobby, or an idea, express your view calmly without trying to win an argument. Respectful differences often make conversations more interesting because they reveal personality instead of rehearsed agreement. It is equally important to notice when the conversation is flowing well and when it is time to change topics. If one subject naturally reaches its conclusion, do not force it to continue. Transition smoothly by connecting it to something related or by asking about another interest she has mentioned. Flexible communication keeps the interaction fresh and prevents it from becoming repetitive. The more present you are, the easier these transitions become because you are responding to the conversation instead of following a memorized script. Above all, remember that the purpose of talking to women is not to create a perfect conversation. It is to create a genuine one. Perfection often feels artificial, while authenticity creates comfort. Every interaction is different because every person is different. Some conversations will be energetic, others quieter, and some may simply reveal that the connection is not there. That is completely normal. Success is not measured by saying everything perfectly. It is measured by communicating honestly, listening carefully, and allowing the conversation to develop naturally without unnecessary pressure. And once you learn to speak with purpose instead of speaking for approval, you begin to realize that the strongest conversations are built not on clever words, but on genuine communication that makes the other person feel comfortable, respected, and understood. The difference between an ordinary conversation and a memorable one is rarely found in clever words. It is found in emotional awareness. Many men believe that talking to women is simply about speaking confidently, asking the right questions, or having interesting stories to tell. While those things matter, they are only part of the picture. A conversation is never just about words. Every smile, every pause, every change in tone, and every expression communicates something. If you only pay attention to what is being said and ignore how it is being said, you miss half of the conversation. Learning how to talk to women means learning to understand emotions as carefully as you understand language. One of the biggest mistakes men make is treating every conversation exactly the same. They approach every woman with the same script, the same jokes, and the same sequence of questions, believing that if something worked once, it will work every time. But every person has a different personality, different experiences, and a different communication style. Some women enjoy energetic conversations filled with humor, while others appreciate calm, thoughtful discussions. Some naturally open up quickly, while others take more time before feeling comfortable. A confident communicator understands this and adapts naturally instead of forcing every interaction into a predetermined pattern. The first skill in understanding emotions is paying attention instead of assuming. Before deciding where the conversation should go, observe how the other person is responding. Is she smiling naturally or giving short, polite answers? Does she seem relaxed or does she appear distracted? Is she asking questions in return, or are you carrying the entire conversation alone? These small signals tell you far more than memorized advice ever will. When you notice these emotional cues, you stop talking at someone and begin communicating with them. Eye contact is another important part of emotional communication. Respectful and natural eye contact shows confidence and attention. Looking away every few seconds because of nervousness can make you appear uncertain, while staring continuously can feel uncomfortable. The goal is balance. Make eye contact while speaking and listening, then allow natural breaks as the conversation flows. This creates comfort because it shows you are engaged without making the interaction feel intense or forced. Your tone of voice also shapes how your words are received. The exact same sentence can create two completely different impressions depending on how it is spoken. A calm, warm, and relaxed tone communicates confidence and respect. Speaking too quickly often suggests nervousness, while speaking too loudly may feel overwhelming. Slow down enough that your words feel intentional. A measured pace allows both people to enjoy the conversation instead of feeling rushed. Women often remember how someone made them feel more than the exact words they used, and your tone plays a major role in creating that feeling. Empathy is equally important. Many men become so focused on saying the right thing that they forget to understand the other person's perspective. If she shares something meaningful about